bite of truth. Warsaw wipers and Davos drama, the state of European tech.
Hello, and welcome back to Bite of Truth. I'm your host, Sebastian, coming to you from the digital ether, ready to cut through the noise and serve up the signal. This week, the line between physical reality and digital warfare blurred in a way we haven't seen since the early days of the conflict in Ukraine. We are talking about lights going out, not because of a storm, but because of a keystroke. It's a stark reminder that while we are busy debating the ethics of generative art, there are actors out there treating critical infrastructure like a sandbox. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're also going to dive deep into the snake eating its own tail. AI tools that are writing the code for the next generation of AI tools. We'll ask if vibe coding is the future of software, or just a fast track to technical debt. And finally, we'll take a trip to the Swiss Alps, where the world's elite gathered at Davos to bicker about who is winning the AI race, while some researchers quietly wonder if any of these companies are actually making any money. It is a packed episode. Grab your coffee, preferably before the power grid goes down, and let's get into it.
The digital Iron Curtain.
Let's start with the lights, specifically the lights in Poland. Earlier this week, security researchers dropped a bombshell report detailing an attempted sabotage of Poland's energy grid. Now, we aren't talking about a denial of service attack that slowed down a website. We are talking about wiper malware. This is nasty stuff. It doesn't steal data, it deletes it. It turns computers into bricks. The researchers have attributed this to a Russian-backed group known as Sandworm. You might remember them from their previous hits on Ukraine's power grid. But this time, the target was a NATO member. This is significant. It signals an escalation. For years, cyber warfare in Europe felt like a problem for the borderlands. Now, it's knocking on the utility door of the EU. It proves that hybrid warfare is alive and well, and the front line is everywhere. But while the threat to the grid is tangible cables getting cut, servers getting wiped, we're also seeing a much more subtle, theoretical vulnerability emerging in the very tools we're using to defend ourselves. I'm talking about large language models and the brave new world of cybersecurity. There's a fascinating, albeit troubling, new discussion happening around the security of LLMs themselves. As European enterprises rush to integrate these models into their workflows, the attack surface is expanding. It's not just about finding a bug in the code anymore, it's about jailbreaking the model itself. We are seeing prompt leakage, where cleverly phrased inputs trick the model into revealing its system instructions or sensitive training data. Think about that. We are building the digital fortress with bricks that can be talked into opening the gates. It's a peculiarly 21st century problem. And just when you thought things couldn't get more abstract, let's talk about quantum computing. Europe has bet big on quantum as the future of encryption. The promise was always that quantum computers would be unbreakable fortresses. Well, hold your horses. New research out of Penn State suggests that these unbreakable locks might have a rusty hinge. The study highlights hardware vulnerabilities in quantum computers that could expose the algorithms running on them. Essentially, the physics of the machine itself, the hardware, might be leaking information, rendering the mathematical encryption useless. So, to summarize this section, the grid is under attack. The software tools we use to defend it are susceptible to psychological manipulation, and the future supercomputers have hardware leaks. It's enough to make you want to go offline and live in a cabin in the Alps. But wait, that's where our next story takes place.
Rise of the machines, or just better tools.
Speaking of the Alps and the future, let's shift gears from breaking things to building them. How are we actually constructing the software that runs our world? If you listen to the hype, the answer is AI is doing it for us. Anthropic, the makers of Claude, released a tool called Claude Code that has gone viral in the developer community. Essentially, it's an AI agent that writes code, edits code, and manages the terminal. A report from Wired describes how this tool is fundamentally reshaping how Anthropic builds its own products. It's the snake eating its own tail. For developers, this sounds like a dream. No more boilerplate, no more hunting for semicolons. You just describe what you want, and the agent builds it. It is fast, efficient, and frankly, a little terrifying. But here at Bite of Truth, we like to look at the flip side. There's a term floating around the dev community right now that perfectly captures the danger of this speed: vibe coding. Vibe coding is when you use AI to generate code quickly without understanding the underlying architecture. You get the vibe of the code right, it runs, and you ship it. It feels like a win, but as critics point out, you are essentially accumulating massive technical debt instantly. You're building a house of cards where no one knows how the cards are stacked. When the code inevitably breaks, and human engineers are going to have to go in and untangle that spaghetti code. And it gets worse. There is a contrarian view emerging from the academic world that suggests our faith in AI agents might be mathematically misplaced. A recent paper, provocatively titled "The Math on AI Agents Doesn't Add Up," argues that AI agents might be doomed to fail. Here is the gist. Agents rely on feedback loops. They take an action, observe the result, and adjust. The paper suggests that in complex environments, these loops can become unstable or mathematically divergent, meaning the agents won't just make mistakes, they'll spiral into chaos. So, on one hand, we have Anthropic showing us that agents are transforming software development today. On the other hand, we have mathematicians saying, hey, this whole system might be structurally unsound. Who do you bet on? The VC throwing millions at agentic workflows, or the math professor waving a proof? In Europe, where engineering rigor is often valued over hype, this is a tension that is playing out in every CTO's office.
The Davos disconnect.
This brings us to the money, because none of this technology runs on goodwill. The World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, just wrapped up. If you looked at the attendee list and the agenda, you'd be forgiven for forgetting it was supposed to be a forum on global economics. It effectively turned into a tech conference. Picture this. The snow is falling, the private jets are parked wing to wing, and the CEOs of the world's biggest tech companies are bickering. According to reports, the vibe in Switzerland was less, let's save the world, and more, my AI model is bigger than yours. It was a display of posturing, boasting, and anxiety. Why anxiety? Because there is a growing realization that the funding winter is coming. Investors are starting to ask the uncomfortable question, are you even trying to make money? A new rating system has been proposed to categorize AI labs. Are they viable businesses, or are they just incredibly expensive science projects? This is the Davos disconnect. The public narrative is that AI is taking over the world and changing everything. The private narrative in the Alps is panic over unit economics. Burning billions of dollars to train models that are hard to monetize is a strategy that has an expiration date. And speaking of interesting moves, let's talk about Jan LeCun, the chief AI scientist at Meta, usually known for his skepticism about the current hype, has thrown his hat into the startup ring with a new venture called Amy Labs. The focus here is on world models, AI that actually understands the physical world, not just predicts the next word in a sentence. It's a pivot away from the chatbot wars that are dominating Davos. It suggests that while the billionaires fight over the current pie, the real visionaries are already baking the next one. But will AMI Labs solve the profitability problem? Or is it just another science project in a hoodie? Time will tell. So, what is the bite of truth for this week? We are living in a time of extreme contrasts. The physical world is becoming more dangerous, with cyber attacks targeting the grid. The digital world is becoming more abstract, with quantum flaws and vibe coding creating fragile systems. And the business world is becoming more desperate, with the elite in Davos trying to wish away the math on profitability. We are speeding up, but are we moving forward? That is the question we need to keep asking. If you are enjoying the show, please do subscribe and leave a review. It helps us cut through the algorithm. You can find me on social media. Let me know, do you trust vibe coding, or is it the devil's playground? Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep your servers patched.